So now we are just going to do this specific type of cell division that is known as meiosis. Okay, so I'm just going to introduce meiosis by looking at the basic concepts or some of the things that you guys must understand so that you can be able to fully grasp what meiosis is. So we have been talking about DNA, the code of life, ever since we have opened our sessions. And now we are now carrying the concept further by introducing the chromosome. So basically, chromosomes are these things that are made up of DNA and proteins. So basically, what makes up a chromosome is DNA and proteins. And you guys now know how a DNA molecule looks like. You guys now know that a DNA is a double helix molecule, and it has got nitrogenous bases, it has got deoxyribose sugar, and so on and so forth. So when we combine DNA and the proteins that are known as histones, we actually create a chromosome. Alright, so this image here that I've extracted is for you guys to see that when we combine a DNA, do you guys see the DNA molecule here?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so when we combine the DNA molecule with the protein, so this ball-like structure represents the protein. So when we combine a DNA molecule with a certain type of protein, we form a what? We form a chromosome at the end of the day. Okay, so this is the diagram just trying to illustrate that for us to end up having a chromosome, we start with what? We start by combining DNA and proteins. So basically, chromosomes are made up of DNA that is coiled around a certain protein. So chromosomes, they form actually from chromatin network. So before it becomes a chromosome, first it is known as what? It is known as chromatin network. And this chromatin network, remember guys, that it is found in the nucleus of a cell. So whenever you are given your cell here, let's just say this is a diagram of your cell, you are going to see the nucleus here. Let's just say this is gonna be your nucleus. So in the nucleus, we're going to have a nucleolus here. So this is going to be my nucleolus. But at the same time, we are going to have these coiled structures. So these coiled structures that look like threads. Do you guys see them? These coiled structures that look like thread. Do you guys see them?
Yes, sir.
Yes, they are actually known as a what? They are actually known as a chromatin network. Okay, so they are known as a chromatin network. So the chromatin network, it is found in the nucleus of a cell, and it later develops into chromosomes. Alright, but it is actually made up of DNA and proteins, the combination of DNA and proteins. Are we guys still together?
Yes, sir.
Alright, so each and every chromosome, it contains genes on it, and then these genes, they actually code for a particular characteristics in your body. So basically, why do we actually need to study about these chromosomes, guys, is because chromosomes, a section or a small piece of DNA that is found on a chromosome, it is known as a gene. And we've been talking about genes for quite a lot, guys. So the genes, they are the ones that actually code for physical characteristics in your body. For example, the fact that you guys, let's just say the fact that you are dark skinned, that is a certain gene that is coding for that. Okay, and that gene, it is found on top of a what? Of a chromosome. So basically, each and every chromosome, it has got small sections that are known as genes, and these genes, they actually code for certain characteristics in your body. For example, you have got curled hair. Your hair, it has got curls, or it is curled. That is because you have inherited a gene. You have inherited a chromosome that has got a gene for curled hair from your parents. So each and every chromosome, it has got a gene, and its function is to code for a particular characteristics in your body. Are we guys still clear on what a chromosome is?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Alright, so this is the structure of a chromosome. This is how it looks like. So a chromosome, it is made up of two sister chromatids. So it is made up of two chromatids. So when we draw it, we have got one chromatid that just looks like something like this. And then we have got another chromatid that I will draw in black. Just looks like something like this. And then in between these two chromatids, they are actually joined by a centromere. So the structure that joins or that connects these two chromatids in a chromosome, it is known as the centromere. So this is a chromatid. This is a chromatid. This is a chromatid. And this is also another chromatid. And these two chromatids, they are joined in by what? By a centromere. So whenever you are labeling the structure of a chromosome, all you just need to know the what? The chromatid, to say that it is just this one individual part. That's your chromatid. So we have got two of those chromatids. We usually use the term sister chromatids to refer to them. So when you've got two chromatids that are joined together by a centromere, we usually call them sister chromatids. Okay, so this structure here in between, it is the one that is joining them. It is known as a what? As a centromere. So when they ask you what is the function of a centromere, it is to connect two chromatids together so that we can end up forming a what? A whole chromosome. So do you now guys have an idea of what a chromosome is?
Yes.
Yes, so basically, a chromosome is just a structure. It's just a structure that is made up of DNA and proteins. It starts out as chromatin network, then it later changes to become what? To become a chromosome. So it starts out as just what? As just chromatin network, but later on it becomes a chromosome. Okay, so a chromosome, you need to know that it codes for a particular characteristics because it has got genes on it. And then the structure of a chromosome, it consists of a chromatid, two sister chromatids. And these two sister chromatids, they are actually joined together by a centromere. So the structure that connects two chromatids to one another or together is known as a centromere. Alright, now that we have an idea of what chromosomes are, we now need to go to what we say is known as somatic cells. Okay, so the somatic cells, whenever you see the term somatic cells, this is the same thing as saying the body cells. Guys, we know that the cell, it is the basic unit of life. So it simply means that each and every living organism, it is made up of cells. So your body is made up of what? Of cells. For example, your skin, guys, for you to see your skin the way it is, there are actually millions and billions of cells that are on that skin or that are pegged together closely to end up giving you the skin that you have. But the cells are microscopic. You cannot see them with your naked eye. But you guys should just keep in mind that each and every part of your body, it is made up of what? Of cells. And those cells, we say they're known as what? As body cells, or you can say they are known as somatic cells. So those are the cells of your body. So your eye, it is also made up of cells. Every part of your body, guys, it is made up of cells. That is actually its composition. If we take out let's just say, for example, if we take out a strand of your hair, it is made up of cells as well. If we take up your skin is made up of cells as well. So those are known as body cells. So all of us have body cells. There are billions of body cells in our body. All right, they are known as somatic cells, or you can say they are known as body cells. So these cells, they've got 46 chromosomes in them. So the total number of chromosomes that are found in each and every one body cell is 46 chromosomes. So whenever they ask you what is the number of chromosomes that the body cells of a human being have, it is 46 chromosomes. I'm sure we already know now what chromosomes are. They are just these structures that are made up of DNA and proteins, and they are found in the nucleus of a what? Of a cell. So the cells of human beings, the body cells of human beings, or the somatic cells, they consist of 46 chromosomes. So it means each and every one of those cells, it has got what? 46 chromosomes. So because they've got 46 chromosomes, we actually use the term diploid to refer to them. So we call them diploid. So the somatic cells, we say that they are what? They are diploid. What does diploid mean? In simple terms, it simply means that they've got 46 chromosomes. Without making things complicated, basically when we say that we are having a diploid cell, it simply means that that is a cell that consists of 46 chromosomes. Okay, so basically all the body cells that humans have, they've got 46 chromosomes, and we say that they are known as diploid somatic cells. So whenever you see the term diploid somatic cell, it simply means that we're talking about a body cell, and this body cell consists of 46 chromosomes. So now thing is, we have a mathematical way of representing this number of chromosomes. We usually use the term 2n. This 2n simply means diploid, guys. There's nothing much about it. It simply means diploid, which means that we've got 46 chromosomes in the cell. So now these chromosomes, since we say that, guys, we have got 46 chromosomes in the body cell of a human being, these chromosomes can actually be arranged in homologous pairs, and they can be represented using a diagram that is known as a karyotype. So the diagram that you are seeing here, it is known as a what? As a karyotype. Do you guys get me?
Yes.
Yes. So the karyotype is basically a diagram that shows you the chromosomes that represents the chromosomes in your body in homologous pairs. So these chromosomes, they're actually arranged in pairs. We're still going to see that when we say that they are homologous pairs, what does it actually mean? But basically, a karyotype is a diagram that shows you the number of the chromosomes as well as how they are arranged, the arrangement as well as the number of chromosomes in the body cell of a certain organism. So this karyotype, or this diagram, is the karyotype of a human being. I've already said, guys, that a human being has got 46 chromosomes in their body cells in total. So basically, these chromosomes, they are arranged in pairs, guys. They are arranged in what? They are arranged in pairs. So it means that you will not see a chromosome just standing on its own in this diagram. You are going to see a chromosome that is paired to another chromosome, or it is next to another chromosome. So basically, since we have got 46 chromosomes in total in the body cell of a human being, if we arrange them in pairs, as in like 2-2, how many pairs are we going to have? How many pairs of chromosomes are we going to have in the cell of a human being, in a body cell of a human being?
23.
Yes, we're going to have 23 years. So basically, we can either say that we have got 46 chromosomes, or you can say that we have got 23 pairs of chromosomes. Okay, so now this shows that you understand that each and every these chromosomes are actually arranged in pairs. So here, this karyotype, this is a human karyotype because it is showing 23 pairs of homologous chromosomes. So can you see, guys, that here, this is pair number 1. We have got 2 chromosomes. Do you see them, guys?
Yes, sir.
Yes, we have got pair number 2 is another 2 chromosomes. We have got pair number 3 is another 2 chromosomes. Pair number 4 is another 2 chromosomes, and so forth and so on until pair number 23. So in total, we have got 46 chromosomes because that is the diploid number, or that is the number of chromosomes that we find in a somatic cell or in the cells of your body. Now, guys, I need to remind you something, that I've already said that chromosomes, they've got genes on top of them, right? And these genes, we say that they code for a particular characteristic in your body. So it simply means that for you to look the way you are, It is because of these chromosomes actually. Alright, so your physical appearance in terms of how you look like, we are talking about your skin color, your hair color, your eye color, and all of those physical characteristics, all of them, for them to look the way they are, it is because of your chromosomes, because these chromosomes, they contain genes that shape you or that shape your physical characteristics. Are you guys together? Are you getting that one?
Yes, sir.
All right. So basically, out of these 23 pairs, the first 22 pairs of chromosomes, so we are talking about from pair 1 until pair number 22. Do you guys see that here we've got 23 pairs in total? And here I'm referring to pair 1 until pair 22. The first 22 pairs of chromosomes, they are known as what? They are known as autosomes. So now we are going to the type of chromosomes. So we have got autosomes. So autosomes, when I talk about autosomes, we are referring to the first 22 pairs of chromosomes that are found in this human karyotype. For example, pair number 1 is an autosome. Pair number 2 is an autosome. Pair number 3, all of these are autosomes. Until pair number 22, all of these are what? They are known as autosomes. So from pair number 1 to pair number 23 on the karyotype, those chromosomes are known as autosomes. And now, what is the significance of even knowing this? The autosomes, they actually control your physical appearance. So the function of autosomes is to do what? It is to control your physical appearance. When we're talking about your physical appearance, we are talking about how you look like, literally your physical appearance, how your nose looks like, how your head looks like, the shape of your head, how your skin color looks like, how your eyebrows look like. Okay, all of those are physical appearances, although all of those are physical characteristics. So all of those physical characteristics, they are being controlled, or they are controlled by the what? By the first 22 pairs of chromosomes that are known as the autosomes. So autosomes, basically, they are responsible for controlling physical appearance, or they are responsible for making you look the way you look like. Basically, they are responsible for your appearance. Guys, we're talking about your eyes. Your eyes, guys. What's your eye color, Sam? What's your eye color?
Brown, sir.
Okay, Sam has got brown eyes. Why does Sam have brown eyes? It is because Sam carries an autosome that controls the eye color and makes it to be brown. So basically, Sam has got brown eyes. It means that the chromosome here that we're gonna see, the autosome, let's just call them autosomes, it is the one that actually made Sam to develop a brown eye color. I have got a black eye color, so it means that physical appearance, it is being controlled by one of these 22 pairs. You may never know which one, but basically the autosomes, or the first 22 pairs of chromosomes, they are responsible for controlling the physical appearance, which is how you look like. Are we guys still together?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
All
sir.
right. Since we say that there are 23 pairs in total, 23 pairs of chromosomes in a human karyotype, all right, or in this diagram, or in a body cell, we've got 23 pairs of chromosomes, and we've already classified that the first 22 pairs has already been classified as what? As autosomes. All of these, pair number 1 to pair number 22, are autosomes. They are the ones making you to look the way you look like. Now, what about the third pair, the 23rd pair, which is pair number 23 here? So pair number 23, it is known as the gonosomes. So the chromosomes that you are finding here on pair 23, these two, can you see, guys, these two chromosomes on pair 23, this longer one and this shorter one, do you guys see them? these ones. Yes. So at pair number 23, let me just zoom in one more time so that you can see properly. Pair number 23, we're having a very long chromosome here and a very short chromosome that looks like a V shape or something like that. So basically, these are known as the gonosomes. The gonosomes, they don't have anything to do with your physical appearance. They are only there to determine the sex. They are there to determine your gender. All right. So basically, whenever you are a male or you are a female, that will be determined by the chromosomes on pair number 23. And guys, for you to end up having these chromosomes, now my question is just a simple question based on what you think. For you guys to end up having these chromosomes, where do you think they are coming from? How did you end up having chromosomes in your body cells? Anyone, just what you think, guys. Nothing, don't explain anything in a professional way or something. Yes, Sam?
I think so. You get 23 from your mother and 23 from your father.
That's good. That's good. Yes. So basically, 23 of those chromosomes, you get them from your mother. 23 you get them from your father. So basically we can say that out of these 46 chromosomes, we can just add and say that we've got 23 paternal chromosomes. When we say that we have got 23, I don't know the spelling if it's correct, but 23 paternal chromosomes. When you say that we have got 23 paternal chromosomes, these are the 23 chromosomes that are coming from the sperm cell of your father. So these are the 23 paternal chromosomes. They come from the what? They come from the sperm cell of your father. So when your mom and your dad were doing the marriage deed, basically your dad's sperm cell, it had 23 chromosomes, all right, and your mom's ovum, this is the egg cell. Okay, your mom's ovum had also 23 chromosomes. So I will say these are known as 23 maternal chromosomes. So basically, for you to end up having the chromosomes that you have, for you to end up having the amount of chromosomes that you have, it is because 23 of them, they are coming from the sperm cell from your father, and 23 they are coming from the ovum or the egg cell of what? Of your mother. So basically, when they are making you, when your parents were making you, what did they do? The sperm cell of your father carried the 23 paternal chromosomes to the egg cell of your mother that had 23 maternal chromosomes, and that is how you were made to be a person, a human being with 46 chromosomes. Are we guys clear on that?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So the last pair of chromosomes, any question? Oh, no question. All right, I thought Sam was asking. All right, so back to this point, I say that the last pair of chromosomes, they are known as what? They are known as gonosomes, because they do what? They determine your sex. So they determine your gender, whether you're going to be a male or you are going to be a female child. So now you already know that the autosomes, which is the first 22 pairs, they determine your physical appearance. Okay, and then the gonosomes, they determine your gender, but we say they determine your sex. We use a life sciences terms, of course. All right. Okay, now let's look at the term homologous chromosomes. Guys, I told you that in a human karyotype, these chromosomes, these 46 chromosomes, they are arranged in homologous pairs. I didn't say that they are just arranged in pairs, but they are arranged in what? In homologous pairs. The term homologous, what does it mean? When you say that two chromosomes are homologous, homologous chromosomes are just chromosomes that have got the same shape, that have got the same size, and they also code. So they've got the same shape, same size, and they also code for similar characteristics. So I've already told you guys that chromosomes are the ones that make you how to look the way you are. specifically the autosomes. So basically, when you say that we have got 2 homologous chromosomes, it simply means that we're having chromosomes that are looking alike. They have the same shape, they've got the same size, and they also code for similar characteristics. So that's how we arrange the chromosomes on the what? On the karyotype, on this diagram known as a karyotype. Guys, look at homologous pair number 5. If you look at pair number 5, I've just zoomed it in here so that you guys can see properly. You all guys see pair number 5, the pair of chromosomes number 5. Do you guys see it?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So this homologous, can you see, guys, that these chromosomes, these 2 chromosomes, they've got the same shape, they've got the same size. Can you guys see that from the diagram?
Yes, sir.
Yes, guys,
Yes,
these chromosomes look alike. They look similar. They've got the same shape, they've got the same size, and additional to that, I will tell you that they also code for the similar characteristics. And I've already told you guys that one chromosome is from your mother, the other one is from your father. So as they are arranged in a pair like this, one chromosome is from your father's sperm cell, and then the other one is from your mother's ovum, or from your mother's egg cell. All right, so basically they must be able to code for the same characteristics. For example, if we say that here this chromosome, it is the one, this chromosome here, it is controlling the skin color. Okay, it is controlling the skin color, and it is causing you to have black skin color. That's from your father's side. And this other one, it is coding for light skin color or yellow skin color. You see that both of these guys, they are both coding for what? For the skin color, or they are both controlling your skin color. So basically these chromosomes, these homologous chromosomes, they must be able to control the same characteristics. All right, so you cannot have a chromosome that is controlling your skin color combined with a chromosome that is controlling something else that is different from that. Okay, so basically homologous chromosomes, they look alike, they have the same shape, same size, and additionally they code for the similar characteristics. Are we guys clear on that?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yes, guys, look at pair number 17. Do you guys see pair number 17 here? I've just highlighted a few and zoomed them in. Do you guys see pair number 17 here? I have zoomed it in here in a clearer diagram. Do you see that these guys, these chromosomes, they look alike? Do you guys all see that?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, they look alike. They've got the same shape, same size, and additionally, they are coding for similar characteristics. So basically, that's what homologous chromosomes are. So you already know that one chromosome is from your father, another one is from your mother. Okay, but these chromosomes, they are found in each and every one of your cell. There are billions of body cells in your body. But each and every one of those cells, it has got 46 chromosomes in them. Please tell me, how can it happen, guys? Like, let's say your father gave 23 chromosomes and your mother gave another 23. But I'm saying with each and every body cell, it has got 46 each, 46 each. Where are we getting the other chromosomes? Because if we actually calculate them, like the total number of chromosomes in your body, there are trillions and trillions of chromosomes, but all of them, they're coming from your mother and your father. How can that be possible? In just the way you think, guys, in simple terms. There is no wrong answer here, don't forget. My question was...
Sir, may you please repeat the question?
Yes, I repeat. My question was, your father contributed 23 chromosomes, right? Your mother also contributed 23 chromosomes. Yes. And then I'm telling you that you have got 46 chromosomes in each and every body cell, or in each and every cell of your body, or in each and every somatic cell. Now, my question is, in your body, you've got millions of cells in your body. Millions, like literally millions, that are making up your body. and each of them has got 46 chromosomes in them. But your mother and your father only contributed 23, only 46 chromosomes. But each and every cell there in your body has got 46 chromosomes, and there are millions of cells there. What do you think happened? Where did the other chromosomes come from? Yes, Rolly. Yes, Rolly Boa.
So I'm not sure, but I think I'm not sure, but replicated. I don't know if replicated is the proper term, but
yes,
yeah, they made like many copies, and then eventually they got more and more and more. Hence,
yes,
we have like a lot.
Yes, they make many copies of themselves, guys, because your father only contributed 23, guys. Your father only contributed your father only contributed 23, your mother another 23. So you only had 46 chromosomes at first, but now you have got billions of cells, each of them having 46 chromosomes in them. So they kind of divide and they kind of replicate, they make copies of themselves. Guys, we've already done DNA replication, and I'm telling you that chromosomes are made up of DNA. So DNA replicates, so it simply means the same thing for chromosomes. So chromosomes keep on multiplying themselves, so that each and every body cell, it has got 46 chromosomes in it. Are we guys clear? Yes, Sam?
Yes, sir.
So this process is same as a DNA replication, ne?
Yeah, it's the same, guys, because chromosomes is actually DNA, because I've already told you guys that chromosomes are just DNA, and this DNA, it is coiled on a protein. So basically a chromosome is simply DNA that is coiled on a protein. So when DNA replication is happening, we are going to have more chromosomes in simple terms. Are we clear, guys? Yes. So this is just continuing from DNA, the code of life,
Yes,
basically.
sir.
Yeah, so you guys must know that we've got homologous chromosomes. What about pair number 23, guys? Pair number 23, do these look alike? Pair number 23.
No, sir.
Okay, it's the only pair that doesn't look alike in this one. Okay, this is because this individual is a boy, but don't worry, later on you're gonna see why they don't look alike. But I'm talking for all autosomes. Look at all the autosomes. Are they all homologous? No matter each and every pair, do they have like chromosomes that look alike? Each and every pair of the autosomes.
Yes.
Yes, each and every pair, guys. From pair number 1, pair number 2, pair number 3, pair number 4, pair number 5, until pair number 22, all the chromosomes, they look alike, like the chromosomes on the same pair. They look alike, they're the same shape, same size, and they code for the same characteristics. But on pair number 23, it is not always the case. They only look alike when it's a girl. But we are going to find out why that is later, because we still have another topic known as genetics and inheritance, whereby you guys will learn how things are in depth. Okay, so now guys, meiosis. Now we've introduced what a chromosome is. Now let's talk about meiosis. Meiosis simply means that a diploid somatic cell divides to form a haploid gamete, and these gametes, they're otherwise known as sex cells. All right, guys, all of you guys have reached puberty at this point, so you definitely will understand what I'm talking about. So basically, when you reach puberty, your body will start producing sex cells. All right, when we're talking about sex cells or gametes, so it's either they can say it's gametes or they can say it's sex cells. This is the same thing. So the gametes or the sex cells, they are produced by your body when you reach puberty. Okay, so males, so basically the sex cells that we have, males actually produce what? They produce sperm cells. You guys know this, right? What about females? What about females? What are the sex cells that females produce?
Isn't it egg cell?
Yes, it's egg cell, but we usually use the term ovum. Ovum if it is one. If there are many, we use the term ova. Okay, so males produce sperm cells, females produce ovum. Ovum is just an egg cell, but we don't call it an egg cell because we're a bit older now. All right, so basically these sex cells, they are produced by your body naturally during what? During puberty. Are we guys clear on that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so where do these sperm cells and ovum, from where do they actually come from? Like, do they just produce themselves? Because guys, before puberty, none of you guys had sperm cells before puberty. There is no boy who will tell me that.
No, I'm still taking your lunchbox. We said I must take it.
Hey, mute yourself there. Who's talking? Okay, it's fine. All right, so guys, you cannot tell me what's when you were 7 year old. When you're a 7-year-old boy, you were producing sperm cells. No, your body was not able to produce that. Okay, even a girl, you cannot tell me that when you were 5 years old, you were producing egg cells or ova. No, not at all. All right, so basically these are only produced at puberty. But where do they come from all of a sudden to say, Uti, now I have turned 13 years old, now my body is starting to produce sperm cells? Where are these sperm cells coming from? It is actually the somatic cells that are dividing. So the body cells or the cells of your body, they actually divide to form these sex cells or to form these gametes. Okay, so the cells of your body, literally guys, your body cells, the cells that are making up your body, they are the ones that divide. They actually divide so that they can form what? They can form the sex cells. So for you to actually have sperm cells and ovum, sperm cells for male and ovum for female, it is because your body cells have undergone the process of meiosis. Are we guys together?
Yes, sir.
Hey Lapo, I know that you've been enjoying this wonderful video and most likely you've been enjoying watching this handsome face in front of you, but sorry ladies, I'm taken. I just here to tell you that Educate is on the road to 100,000 subscribers by the end of 2025. So please click the subscribe button and click the notification bell so that you get notifications whenever I post new videos. I want you guys to pass. Okay, so if you make my dream true, I reach 100k subscribers, I will make your dreams come true. I will even get you to varsity. I will get you with 7 distinctions. Yes.
I was explaining that and I asked guys if you understood what do I mean when I say that meiosis is simply a process whereby a diploid somatic cell divides to form a haploid gamete, aka a sex cell. Does anyone not understand the statement that is provided? Yes, Savage, are you clear?
No.
What's the question?
Can you please repeat it again?
Okay. First of all, Savage must be a boy, right? Cool. Okay, Savage, right now you are in your puberty stage, right? You are in a puberty stage, meaning that your body, as a male person, it is producing sperm cells, right? So basically, the sex cells that your body is producing, these are the sperm cells. Okay, are we still together there before we go far?
Yes.
Okay, so now my question is, when you were young, maybe for example, when you were 6 years old, was your body producing those sperm cells?
No.
No, right? So actually, what is making your body to start producing these sperm cells, because you are now in puberty? Basically, where are these sperm cells actually coming from? And my explanation is here. Basically, when you have got a body cell, remember guys, the body cell are the cells that are making up your body, or the cells that are found in your body. We are talking about the cells in your skin, the cells in every part of your body. Okay, so your body cells or your somatic cells, they actually divide. So when they divide, so your body cells, or you can say your somatic cells, they do what? They divide to form the what? To form the gametes. Guys, when I'm talking about the gametes, I'm talking about the sex cells. It's the same thing, like they're synonyms of one another. So don't get confused when I say gamete or when I interchange these terms. All right. So your body cells, they are dividing so that they can form the gametes. And these gametes, for males, the gametes that we are referring to here are the what? Are the sperm cells. So basically, in other ways, what I'm trying to say is that meiosis is simply the process whereby the somatic cell, guys, remember somatic cell, I told you that a somatic cell is a body cell, right? Did you guys remember that somatic cell and body cell is the same thing, right?
Yes.
Yes. So basically your somatic cell or your body cells, they undergo meiosis. Okay, so they undergo meiosis. In simple terms, it means that they divide. And when they divide, they will form what? They will form gametes. And the gametes that we're talking about for males, as a male, we're gonna form sperm cells. So basically, meiosis is that process whereby the diploid somatic cell divides to form the haploid gametes. So the gametes, it's simply your sex cells. For males, it is the sperm cells. For female, it is the egg cell, but we say it's known as the ovum. Are we guys together?
Yes.
Guys, do we have any question again here? All right. Yes, Sam.
So, sir, if they ask for importance of meiosis, if I only write those bold sentences, I am still correct.
Okay, state them. There are many bold sentences here.
That one says produce haploid gametes, and second one says overcomes the doubling effect of fertilization.
Okay, try to write the full statement so that you can get the maximum marks. But the main point is the one that is written in bold. Okay, so since you guys now have the main idea that meiosis is simply when the body cells or the cells that are found in your body, they are dividing so that they can create the sex cells. Now, what did I say diploid is? The term diploid, what does it mean? What did I say it means? The term diploid.
46 chromosomes.
Yes, I said when we say that we've got a diploid number of chromosomes, it simply means that we've got 46 chromosomes. Don't overthink it, guys. Just say when you have got a diploid chromosomes or a diploid number of chromosomes, it simply means that we've got 46 chromosomes, and we usually use the symbol 2n to represent that. Okay, it's just a mathematical notation. And then when we say haploid, how many chromosomes do you think we have?
23 pairs.
Yes. Oh, not pairs. When we say haploid number of chromosomes, how many do you think we have? Because 23 pairs is the same thing as saying 46 chromosomes, remember? What does the term haploid, what do you think the term haploid means?
One, sir.
One chromosome. Yes, a Samsung A26.
So doesn't it just mean like 1n, like 23 chromosomes?
Yes, we've got 23 chromosomes, not 23 pairs. It's 23 chromosomes. So guys, remember, saying 23 pairs, it means that we have got 46 chromosomes in total. But just saying 23 chromosomes, it means we've got 23 chromosomes there. So we usually use this symbol N to represent that. Okay, so basically this somatic body cell, this somatic cell, this body cell, the cells that are found all over in your body, they've got 46 chromosomes. They've got what? They've got a number of chromosomes which is 46 in their nucleus. But when they divide through meiosis, or when they undergo meiosis, okay, so when they divide during meiosis, or you can say when they undergo meiosis, because meiosis simply means that the cell is dividing. So when these body cells are dividing, or when these somatic cells are dividing, they will produce, they will form, or they will produce gametes or sex cells. So you can say it's gametes or sex cells, or you can say it's sperm cells if it's a male. You can say it's an ovum if it's a female. Now we say that these gametes, they have got a haploid number of chromosomes. So whenever you see the term haploid, it means that they've got what? They've got 23 chromosomes. Do you guys see that?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Yes. So basically, guys, the sex cells, they are haploid. It means that they contain 23 chromosomes, but your body cells, or the cells of your body, they contain 46 chromosomes. That is why, guys, when we did this first introduction, I told you that 23 chromosomes come from your father's sperm cell. So a sperm cell is a gamete. A sperm cell is a sex cell, so it consists of 23 chromosomes. And I also say that the other 23 chromosomes comes from your mother's ovum, or your mother's egg cell. So the egg cell also contains 23 chromosomes. Are we together? Are we together, guys? Yes. So basically, the meiosis process simply means that we are having what? We are having a body cell. I repeat again for the millionth time. We are having a body cell, or we're having a somatic cell. You can say it's a body cell or somatic cell. Alright, so it's a body cell, it's a cell of your body, and that cell is going through a process of division, so it divides. The name of the cell division, we say, is known as meiosis. Okay, so it divides. That is known as meiosis. And then it produces a what? A haploid gamete. Use the term haploid. The haploid simply means what? It simply means that this has got 23 chromosomes. So that's the haploid number of gametes. Are you guys all able to see that? Yes, Sam. Yes, Sam, what's your question?
So, sir, I'm also allowed to say it forms one gamete.
Okay, it's not really forming one gamete. This is just an illustration for you guys to have kind of a basic idea to say, body cells will divide and end up becoming a gamete, but it's not really one gamete. When we start doing the process, you will understand how many will we have at the end. Are we together?
Yes.
Yes, so don't mention any number of gametes here for this one. This is just for illustrative purposes, so that you guys get an idea that the cells of your body, when it's pubert, they will start dividing, and that process is known as meiosis. And when they divide, what do they produce? They produce the sex cells. They produce the cells, the gametes. Okay, and these gametes, they've got 23 chromosomes in them, but they are coming from the somatic cells, or the body cells, that have got 46 chromosomes. Are we guys all together? Does anyone have a question on this one? Okay, looks like people are all together. So why is meiosis important? Because it produces haploid gametes. That's the first primary importance of meiosis, because basically meiosis happens so that a body cell can change into what? into gametes. So basically, meiosis is important because it produces the what? It produces haploid gametes. When I'm talking about the gametes, it can be sperm cell or it can be an ovule. Okay, depending on the gender. If it's a male, it's a sperm cell. If it's a female, it's an ovum. It's an ovule. All right, so it produces haploid gametes. And these haploid gametes, they are used during what? They are used during sexual reproduction. For example, you guys at some point, you are going to have babies in your life. For you to make a baby, you need a sperm cell and an ovum, guys. Okay, so if you don't have sperm cells right now, start making means to find some, I don't know where. But basically, for you to be able to make a baby, you need a sperm cell, you need an ovum. If you are a male, you produce the sperm cell that has got 23 chromosomes. If you are a female, you produce the ovum that has got 23 chromosomes. And those two need to fertilize later on so that you can have a baby. So basically, meiosis is very important because it is the one that is producing the sperm cell for you. It is the one that is producing the ovum for you if you are a female. So basically, it's very important. In fact, life cannot exist if we don't have meiosis, because meiosis is the one that produces our what? Our haploid gametes, or our sex cells. Are we guys all together? Are we guys together?
Yes, sir.
Yes. All right. So the other importance of meiosis is that it overcomes the doubling effect of fertilization by halving the number of chromosomes, keeping the chromosome number constant. Okay, this one I'm still going to illustrate it later. I just want you to take it exactly as it is. So basically, meiosis is very, very important because it overcomes the doubling effect of fertilization. All right, so for now I'm not going to put too much details on it. That's why it's still to be illustrated. When we do human reproduction, I will remind you guys so that you understand what do I mean by the doubling effect of fertilization, because for now maybe you guys don't even know what fertilization is, but basically meiosis is very important for this reason, so you can memorize it for now. And then it also introduces genetic variation. This is also still to be illustrated when we do meiosis. When we do this topic of meiosis, I will illustrate this importance. Okay, so let's get to just have a clear idea on the meiotic divisions that we have so that you can go and sleep now. All right, so during meiosis, guys, we say that the somatic cell, it is the one that has to divide, and at the end it must form the haploid gametes. It must form the sex cells, it must form the sperm cell or the ovum. All right, so during meiosis, the somatic cell, what happens to it? It divides 2 times. So it divides 2 times before it can form a gamete. So you don't just, okay, this was, remember guys, I told you guys this diagram that I made here, it was just for illustration purposes. Okay, it's not really the process. It's just illustrating what a body cell will divide, and at the end of the day will have some sex cells. But now the actual process happens in this way. The body cell or the somatic cell, it divides 2 times so that it can form a gamete. So it doesn't just divide 1 time, it divides how many times? 2 times. All right, so the somatic cell or the body cell has to divide 2 times before it can form the gamete, or before it can become the sex cell or the gamete. Guys, get used to these terms. I'm going to use them quite a lot. When I say gamete or sex cell, it is the same thing. Okay, the gametes that we have in males, it is sperm cells. The gametes that we have in females, it is ovum if it is 1. Okay, so basically this term gamete, get used to it, don't dodge it. All right, so before a somatic cell can change or can become a gamete, it has to divide 2 times. So basically when it divides for the first time, let's just make a simple illustration. This one is the actual process. Okay, so our somatic cell, is a diploid cell. So I'm going to say this diagram represents the diploid somatic cell. Going to write diploid somatic cell. So this is the cell of your body that has got 46 chromosomes. Okay, it has got 46 chromosomes. What does it do? At first, I'm sure we say that it's going to divide 2 times. So dividing, guys, it simply means that it is actually splitting. At some point, the cell will split and form 2 different cells. So one cell can split and it will form what? It will form 2 different cells. So one cell, this diploid cell, it will do what? It will divide and form 2 different cells. We say that these cells are genetically different. All right, so these are 2 genetically different cells. So when the somatic cell or the diploid body cell divides for the first time, it will divide or it will split and form 2 genetically different body cells. 2 genetically different, or let's just say cells for now. Don't give them any term. All right, and each of these cells will have 23 chromosomes in them, guys. Right, so each and every one of these cells would have what? Would have 23 chromosomes in them, because we have divided them from 46. Are we guys understanding the first meiotic division? When you say the first meiotic division, simply means that the cell is dividing for the first time. Do we guys understand that when you've got a diploid somatic cell with 46 chromosomes, it will divide or it will split in half and form 2 of them? Can you guys see that? Are we together, guys, or what?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So
Yes,
this is the first meiotic division. So I'm going to call it the first meiotic division because the cell has divided for the first time. So guys, are we done forming our gametes? Is this a gamete? These 2 cells, are these gametes? Can you say these are gametes, guys? These 2 cells that we formed here after dividing, these 2, are these gametes?
Yes, sir.
Really? Why?
No.
Why not? Why not, Sam? You cannot just guess and say yes, no. Why not? Why do you say that they're not gametes? Who else, guys, can assist? Why do you think that these 2 cells that we formed, guys, after dividing for the first time, these 2, are these gametes, guys? Are these gametes? That's the question. Are these 2 cells gametes?
Are 2 different genetic cells.
Yes, they cannot be gametes, guys, because I told you that the somatic cell, it has to divide 2 times, guys, before it can form the gamete. Can you guys hear me, God?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So if it has divided only 1 time, that is not a gamete. It's just 2 genetically different cells. All right. So you cannot tell me, guys, that this cell is a gamete and this cell is a gamete. All right. So for a somatic cell or for a body cell to completely change into a gamete or into a sex cell, it must divide 2 times. Are we guys together there? Are we guys
Yes,
hearing
sir.
that? Yes, so it must divide 2 times. So this cell that we have obtained here, this first cell here, it will also divide again. It will also split. Okay, so when it splits, it will form its 2 cells here. It will form another 2 cells when it splits. And this other second cell as well, this second genetically different cell, it will also split in the same way. It will also split. And it will form what? It will form 2 other cells again. Now, only after dividing 2 times, now you can say that these are what? These are 4 haploid gametes. So we start, guys. Let's start again, because I'm not going to close this meeting if you guys are not understanding. That's the problem. Okay, so now let's start again, guys. We say that we have got a diploid somatic cell. The somatic cell, we say that this is the cell of your body, the cell that is found in the body, the cell making up the body parts, the cell that is making up the parts of your body. Simply that. So these diploid somatic cells, they consist 46 chromosomes in them. They've got 46 chromosomes in their nucleus. 46 chromosomes. That is what the diploid means. So this diploid somatic cell, or this diploid body cell, at the end of the day, it must become a gamete. A gamete, guys, I say that it's a sex cell. A gamete is just another name of saying a sex cell. The gamete that is found in males is sperm cell. The gamete that is found in females is ovum. Each and every gamete, it is haploid. What does this mean? It means that it has got 23 chromosomes in it. So there are 23 chromosomes, not pairs, guys. There's 23 chromosomes in each and every gamete. So now the idea is, for this somatic cell that has got 46 chromosomes, for it to become a gamete, it has to divide 2 times. It has to split 2 times, guys, like literally split into half. Like you've got an orange, guys, one orange, you split it into 2 parts. Now you have got 2 parts of an orange. All right, so first it has to divide for the first time, and you say that's known as the first meiotic division. It simply means that it has divided once. So during the first meiotic division, this one somatic cell that is diploid, it divides to form 2 genetically different cells, which I've labeled here as 1 and 2. So these 2 cells, they've come from this diploid somatic cell that is divided. That's the first meiotic division. So these 2 cells, they are genetically different. But remember, guys, I said that for us to be able to form the gametes, the sex cells, we need to divide at least 2 times. So it means that these 2 genetically different cells that we have formed here during the first meiotic division, it has to divide again. Do you guys see that it's dividing here? Here it is. This cell number 1, it splits and it forms 2 cells. Even cell number 2 will split as well and form 2 cells. Guys, is everyone hearing me here in the room?
Yes.
Yes, guys. So this second split is known as the second meiotic division. Yes, Sam?
So there is no more other division after the second meiotic division.
No more. So the second meiotic division will just result in 4 haploid gametes, and each of them will also have 23 chromosomes. That's the funny thing. Each of them would have what? It would have 23 chromosomes as well. Does the maths add up here, guys? Okay, if you don't want to think about the mathematics, it's fine. But each of these 4 haploid gametes that are formed at the end must all have 23 chromosomes in them. Each and every one, 23. The first one, 23 chromosomes. The second one, 23 chromosomes. The third one, 23 chromosomes. The fourth one, 23 chromosomes. Yes, Sam?
Also, because of when the second, after the meiotic division, say we have 23, okay. But the second one, I don't understand how come it becomes 23.
That's the question. That's why I'm asking, is the maths balancing, guys? Because we started with the main somatic cell having 46 chromosomes. The first body cell was having 46 chromosomes. Then it splitted. It forms 23, right? I think Sam says this makes sense. 46 has splitted into 23. What about these ones that have splitted again, 23 and 23 and 23 and 23? How come did we end up having 23 chromosomes in each and every one of those 4 haploid gametes? That is the question that you guys would have to wonder. as we go and sleep. When we come back, we'll do the stages of meiosis. And I think it would definitely make sense to you why is 23 there. But just to give you a glimpse, the first phase that we don't really talk about that much is the interphase. Okay, so I'm just going to tell you what happens during the interphase. Just know that the first phase, before the cell starts dividing, we will start with a phase that is known as interphase. So the first phase is known as interphase before it starts dividing. So during interphase, the process that is happening there, it is known as DNA replication. You guys already know what DNA replication is, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so basically during
Yes, sir.
interphase, the cell will start, the DNA in the nucleus will start replicating. All right, and there will also be a lot of chromatin network in the cell. Do you guys see the cell here? This is your cell. Do you guys see the nucleus there from this diagram? Do you guys see properly here the nucleus? Yes, we have a nucleus, and then inside the nucleus we've got threads here. These threads, what are these threads known as?
Network.
That's the chromatin network. So during the interphase, so during the interphase, we've got a lot of chromatin network because there's a lot of DNA replication taking place. Remember, guys, that this chromatin network is just still made up of these proteins and DNA. So when DNA is replicating, there's a lot of these coiled structures, and these coiled structures, they are known as the chromatin network. Who's going to pray for us? Since we are not sleeping today, yes, Rolly, may you please pray for us?
Okay, guys, let's all close our eyes and pray. Father God, dear Lord, thank you so much for this wonderful day. Thank you, Lord, for taking us out about the day and bringing us back in safe with all our families and all our friends. I pray that you may please be with us as we're going to be sleeping. I pray that everything we've learned today may all digest in our brains, that when it's time to write, we may all remember. I pray for our teacher. I pray for everyone on here. I pray for everyone's family and friends. I pray for guidance tonight and tomorrow morning waking up so that we may have strength to carry on, keep fighting during this year. I pray in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen.